It's time for another episode of I Am Northwest Arkansas, the podcast covering the intersection of business, culture, entrepreneurship, and life in general here in the Ozarks. Whether you are considering a move to this area or trying to learn more about the place you call home, we've got something special for you. Here's our host, Randy Wilburn.
Hey folks, and welcome to another episode of I Am Northwest Arkansas. I am Randy Wilburn, your host, and I am here today with a very, very special person. They are not only a good friend, but they are also the co-director of Apple Seeds, which is an amazing organization. It's not the apple seeds that you put into the ground, although I guess you could do that. Apple Seeds is a 501c3 organization based here in Northwest Arkansas, specifically in the great city of Fayetteville. And Kyra Ramsey is the co-director of Apple Seeds, and they are doing some amazing things here in Northwest Arkansas. And we thought it would be great to have them on the show to learn a little bit more about what they're doing for the young people in this community and how they are making a difference. One plant, one pop-up restaurant, one event at a time. So, Kyra, how are you doing today?
I'm doing well.
Good.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, no problem. No problem. It's exciting to be here, and you were gracious enough to have us to your location.
Yeah.
And we are actually sitting in what is behind their building. They're based off of Old Wire in Fayetteville, and right near Old Wire in Old Missouri. They are in behind the house where Apple Seeds is based. We are in a building that was built specifically for this organization, and it is, folks, I got to tell you, it's amazing. We will put some pictures in the show notes for you to see for yourself, but you would never know this was here. Driving down Old Wire, you would just not know that this is right here, and that's kind of cool. So
yeah, we call this space kind of the heart of the teaching farm.
Oh, good.
Yeah, so
good,
we're in the
good.
heart of Apple Seeds.
Yeah, cool. Well, tell us a little bit about how this whole thing started. I know that Apple Seeds grew out of ONF, which is Ozark Natural Foods.
Yep.
It's a local food co-op. But tell us a little bit about the superhero origin story of this organization.
Yeah, so the superhero origin story, I like that. This all happened well before I even arrived on the scene.
Okay.
Back in 2005, the leaders at ONF decided that the kids in the school district, in the Fayetteville School District, needed to better know where their food came from. And they figured no better way to do that than to show them. And so they just brought in juicers and fruits and vegetables, and they juiced with the kids. And from what I've learned, that experience of just working with a few kids went to working with several thousand kids, and they realized that there was a real need to educate and a real need to do it in a fun way and to get kids to try something new and nutritious. And so they were the ones that filed all the paperwork and incorporated us as a 501c3,
Okay.
and that was back in 2007.
Okay.
So we had real strong roots and still do. And Mary and I often, Mary's my counterpart, often think about all the people from 2007 until 2019 who have started and grown and taken the organization further and further to where we are today.
Yeah.
But we love how it started. It's very meaningful.
Yeah. No, that's awesome. And I think you pointed out that obviously whenever there's a need to be filled, it's always great when somebody is willing to step up and do that.
Yes.
And it sounds like the folks at ONF recognized, and I know I'm going to keep saying ONF because that's what we call it here, but it's actually Ozark Natural Foods.
Yeah.
And they're actually moving into, we'll give them a big shout out, they're actually moving into a brand new space at the corner of College and Lafayette, which was the old Marvin's IGA building. And so they're moving out of their current location to that location in the near future. So if you're ever in the Fayetteville area and you want to check out a really great co-op with amazing food, amazing options, definitely check out Ozark Natural Foods. And so that is our plug for them, and we'll move back to the program itself. So this was all born out of just the idea of figuring out a way to give back and to especially educate the kids. kids. And I mean, you guys didn't just come up with a way to educate the kids. I mean, you have impacted thousands upon thousands of kids. I mean, probably 10,000 last year alone?
Yeah, so we reached almost 10,000 students across Northwest Arkansas.
Okay.
So schools and agencies that serve low-income students.
Yeah.
10,000 of them.
Yeah.
Yep.
So walk me through a typical experience that a young kid would have coming through this. I mean, again, if only people, this is a podcast, so you're listening to it, but if you could just see this space, and again, I'm going to put some pictures in the show notes, but there's reclaimed wood. There are Sub-Zero-like refrigerators everywhere. There's an island with an amazing stove. There is a huge table that could fit the Waltons times 10. And I mean, there's all kinds of stuff here that's just really cool. And there's even a menu, which I'm going to talk about in a minute or two. But what do kids experience here?
So we have a variety of programs, but I'll talk about one in particular because I had the chance to see this the other day and I thought it was so cool. So one of the programs that we have is a farm-to-table cooking class.
Okay.
And we offer that as a 6-week series. And we also offer it as a standalone 2-hour cooking class.
Okay.
But the particular one I want to talk about is a 6-week series. And so we partner with a group of students, the same students, over the course of 6 weeks. And they come to the teaching farm once a week for this 2-hour cooking class. And every time they come out, they're learning something different. They're learning a different cooking technique. They're learning something different about the food they eat, that, for example, combining sugar and fiber is better for you and your body. They learn about the number of grams of salt that they should really be consuming daily. But the coolest thing about this, we had a group of high school students from an alternative high school come out for this cooking class, and they walk onto the farm and they come into the teaching kitchen. But this group had been out a couple times already, so they were prepared. They were wearing aprons, and they had some of their own cooking utensils, which we thought was so cool.
Yeah.
And these are students that sometimes show up for school, sometimes don't. Their lives are complicated. But what we had gathered is that when there was a day where they were coming to the Appleseeds Teaching Farm, just about every student who was supposed to show up for school showed up.
Wow.
Because it's just a very unique program, really working with their hands, a lot of autonomy, a lot of teamwork, and inherent in everything is also reading and literacy standards and measurement and math and science and cooking.
Right.
So there's a lot of curriculum that's kind of baked into our programs just organically. And then just the experience of just dealing with food and cooking up food that they'd never tried before and talking about the food they made, and just a lot of pride and community.
Wow.
And all in the space.
That's very cool. And you guys get to experience that a lot with the variety of schools and programs that come through here.
So we work with students from elementary. Most of the students that we work with, I'd say, are from 2nd grade through 7th.
Okay.
We do have some programs, like I just said, for this alternative high school. But largely they are in that age range, because we know from a lot of research done that by 6th grade, your habits are kind of formed, a little harder to change your ways. So we want to reach them younger and when they're more open to trying new things.
Yeah. Okay. And so you've got, I mean, again, this great location. You, for those of you that are familiar with the Gulley Park area of Fayetteville, the Appleseeds property backs up to Gulley Park, basically. And there's a lot happening at Gulley Park right now with the extension of the Razorback Trail through the park. And there's so much happening around here. And I mean, you guys just have a great walking piece of land that people can go through. But can you kind of just give the audience an idea of what you're doing in the different areas of the property here?
Yeah. So the teaching farm, as you said, is just sort of nestled right in the middle of Gulley Park, which we love because it just means that people that are out for a walk or throwing the Frisbee kind of happen on us.
Right.
So there's a really pretty split rail fence that marks the 2 acres, and that was a fence that was constructed and dug by our staff and a whole host of volunteers. That was probably not their favorite project, but it marks really beautifully the farm.
Right.
The entrance is actually go right into a fruit orchard that has persimmons and apples and fig trees. Again, that was a volunteer project on a very cold, wintry day where we planted those. There's a beautiful outdoor garden classroom that's now constructed, and where kids can experiment and plant radish seeds and figure out, the spacing of a seed and how much a seed needs to grow. And then there's 2 beautiful pecan trees, which are just like the perfect setting for our classes. So when a field trip comes out, we sit the students underneath the pecan tree for a little shade, and we talk about what a plant needs to grow, and we talk about what our bodies need to be healthy. And then there's about maybe like a half acre of production garden. So it's that part of the farm is actually fenced in with a deer fence, because we want that produce to be protected. That is the produce that we grow for all of our programs. And so we have several gardens in there and a high tunnel that produce all of the produce for the programs, and the kids come out and they'll harvest directly from the gardens all kinds of vegetables and fruits, and then they weigh and wash it and cook it up.
Wow.
So
yeah. I probably should have eaten lunch before I came here to sit down and talk with
hungry.
you. So, yeah, no, really, I am. No, seriously though, that's really cool. And there's obviously, it looks like there's more room to expand back here a little bit for the garden and everything.
Yep, and we also have a pollinator garden. So for those students who love the science in nature, all you have to do is just sit and watch the bees and the monarch butterflies.
Oh, cool.
It's also actually a monarch way station. So,
okay.
There's so many like things that are just inherent in a farm, learning opportunities for kids.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think that the cool thing is that, again, you're like kind of smack dab in the middle of everything. So not realizing that there's a farm right here. I mean, this is like the best kept secret. So, yeah. So how are you guys getting the word out about apple seeds, and what are you doing to reach the widest audience possible?
Well, this podcast, for
okay.
sure.
Thank you. Thank you.
So, we do a variety of things to get connected with community members and schools and businesses. We have a partnership with more than 80 schools and agencies across Northwest Arkansas. So in some form or fashion, we're working with 80 different organizations.
Wow.
So kind of inherent in that, people are starting to hear about us. But we also have a number of events on the farm, which make them open to anybody, not just schools and students. So we've got a really fun event coming up in April. It's a spring brunch on the farm. We've got a picnic in June, another opportunity for people to come out and just see the farm and enjoy food and farm games and music. And then we've got a really lovely farm dinner in October. So we kind of, throughout the year, we sprinkle our schedule with events, and we invite people out for those. But honestly, the community has been great to give us opportunities to share our story. We talk with our friends at KUAF pretty often, and we always have a wonderful photographer from the Gazette here and there who just says, "It's a beautiful day. I'm coming to the farm.
Take some pictures.
But it's taken time. But I do feel, like you said, being in a central place like this makes telling our story a whole lot easier, because people stumble on it, and then we have a chance to talk about it.
Now that's cool. So now I know we're coming out into the spring soon, and I know there is for those people that are listening to this that aren't from the area, there's a concert in the park series that they have here at Gulley Park, which is really cool. And do you guys do anything in coordination with that at all, since there's so many people that descend on the park here when that happens?
We have.
Okay.
And I don't know what our plans are yet this summer, but in past summers we have planted certain flowers that then we hand out to the concert goers. So if you go to a concert in Gulley Park this summer and somebody gives you a sunflower, don't worry. It's just us at Appleseeds. But no, we would love to find ways to connect to people that come out just naturally to Gulley Park.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So, I know, and I'm looking up here again, and for those of you that are listening to this podcast, there's a little black chalkboard on the side of the wall, and there's just a bunch of canisters of different types of beans and other items that are used for cooking, and then next to it is a little thing that says tonight's menu. And I just want to read some of these things off of here, especially for those of you listening to the podcast that are hungry. Crispy catfish and waffles, sweet corn, goat cheese, and sorghum ice cream, steamed pierogies with Yukon Gold potatoes, dill, creme fraiche, roasted, and hickory bouillon and green onion ash. I'm not sure what that is, but it sounds good. And then Berkshire smoked bacon wrapped pork tenderloin with Arkansas black apple and artichoke crepinettes and bourbon apple jam. And I guess it's a demi-glace and wilted kale. And then for dessert, an Ozark banana pawpaw with creme brulee, whipped cream, and jam cookies. What is that all about?
That was an amazing feast. So, we do most of the time that we spend here on the farm is with kids and exposing them to where food comes from and giving them the skills to cook it up themselves. But occasionally we will have these small dinners called the kitchen table. Okay. And this is when we bring in a guest chef from the community, and they will cook up a feast like that for just enough people to sit at this table where we're sitting today. So about 30 people or so. And that was a menu from the chef from 28 Springs in Siloam Springs.
Okay. So, what's that chef's name?
Kurt Plankenhorn.
Okay, all right.
And he cooked up an amazing feast. And we will be doing those types of dinners about once a month.
Wow.
And we've got a different chef coming in for each of those dinners and different menu. We incorporate it as much, into the menu as we can from our gardens. So whatever is there and not being consumed by the kids can be consumed by the adults that come for this. And they're fundraisers, so they're opportunities for community members to come out and see the farm and become a little bit more acquainted with what we do and eat really good food, while they're learning about our mission and our impact. Yeah. And find ways to get involved. A lot of people that come to a kitchen table event end up volunteering with us afterwards and getting more involved in some way. So.
Oh man. Yeah, no, it sounds good. And I thought it was a genius idea. I know you had another one a couple of months ago that I saw the menu for, and I was just like, I was salivating when I read that menu. I was like, man, I want to come. And every time you've had this event, I've had something going on. So I think there's a conspiracy against me making it here. But
we got to fix that.
Yeah, I'm definitely going to get here and hopefully bring my my wife and that we can enjoy this and really take part in what you guys are offering here, which I think is absolutely amazing. So, so that's great. Tell the audience just a little bit about what you guys are hoping to accomplish in the near future. I mean, granted, you guys are reaching so many kids, and really, you probably don't realize the impact that you are making, but you are making a significant impact, especially with the young people here. But what's online for the future for Appleseeds and where you guys are trying to take this?
Mm-hmm. So I think the farm that you're talking about is still pretty new. We really only started operating here fully at this teaching farm in Gulley Park in 2017.
Okay.
So we're still trying to figure out how much we can grow, literally, how much produce we can grow, which then determines how many students we can reach. But we're definitely not at capacity. So there's definitely more gardens to grow, more produce to grow. And it's really important for us, and specifically me, to make sure that school officials across Northwest Arkansas know that this is a resource for schools across the region, not just Fayetteville.
Right.
So we really want to pull in schools from the smaller rural school districts all the way up to Bella Vista.
Okay.
So definitely, I'd say one is reaching more schools, making sure that they're aware of the opportunities for their students.
Yep.
I'd say another one is maybe finding ways to share our curriculum with other organizations that do similar work.
Yeah.
I think that we've got a really good model here, and maybe finding some partner agencies that would be interested in taking what we've done and sharing those lesson plans and those recipes with individuals who can instruct students in the same way that we do here.
Okay.
And then I think third is really providing these events and opportunities for the community to get more involved, and creating these culinary experiences for community members that are pretty unique and tie into the work that we do with kids.
Yeah. You know, what would be really cool is if you guys did one with some of these young people and maybe tied them with one of these great chefs locally and had them participate in helping that chef pull it together. Because there's actually, I mean, there's some James Beard Award winners in this area. I mean, people don't realize that Northwest Arkansas has a lot of really good chefs.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I love that idea, and we've kind of tested that every once in a while.
Okay.
Like we had a farm dinner a couple years ago, and the students made the appetizer, which was a gazpacho shooter.
Okay.
And then they set up their shop, and as guests arrived, they'd hand everybody a little gazpacho shooter.
Yeah.
So where we can bring in kids to these events, absolutely, because they've got skills, and they get really excited when they can make something, good and share it with others. So yeah, absolutely.
No, I love that. And I think it speaks volumes to, giving, these young people nowadays a variety of options of what they can do career-wise. And also, more importantly than even that, is just taking care of their bodies better by eating right and understanding that you are what you eat, and that if you put good stuff in, good stuff out.
Yeah.
So,
my colleague Mary Thompson, our co-director, she's got an important word that we use often, which is exposure. What we really try to do here is expose kids to where their food comes from and expose them to alternative ways of eating and alternative ways of cooking, and doing that in a real hands-on way. So if you came out here, Randy, and you saw one of our programs, the adults are kind of in the background.
Yeah.
We know that we're not cool when it comes to kids, so we kind of let them lead,
right,
and give them some guidance, give them the recipes, help them out a little bit if cutting up a onion is a little tricky. But the coolest thing is to really see these kids, once they're exposed to food and seeing where it comes from, they get so curious and excited about it that they really don't need us to instruct. It's a really exciting learning experience for them.
Okay. All right. Well, that's cool. Well, man, this has been great. I really appreciate you gave the personal tour that you gave me. Again, I'm going to share some pictures on the show notes so people can actually see what I'm talking about. They can't taste the food through the podcast, but they can.
Gotta come here.
Yeah, they got to come there for that. And so, what are some ways that people can get in contact with Appleseeds, and especially to kind of be on some kind of notification for these pop-up dinners that you do?
I'm so glad you asked that question. So one great way to get involved and to become aware of what we do is actually a hands-on way.
Okay.
So starting this month through the end of October, we have something called Open Garden Hours.
Okay.
Every Saturday, 9 to 12 noon. You do not need to come out with any garden skills. You just need to come out. And there's always going to be somebody here from Appleseeds leading some kind of garden activity. And we'd love for you to come out and see the farm yourself that way.
Okay.
There is a website, appleseedsnwa.org.
Okay.
And there is all kinds of information on our programs, events,
Yep.
and there's a newsletter that you can sign up for.
Okay.
That would be a great way to find out about Appleseeds and get announcements for these kitchen table dinners and special events. And I'm the person behind that website.
Behind all that.
So
Okay, good.
I'll make
good,
sure
good.
you get that newsletter.
Okay. And then you also have a Facebook page, right?
Yes, we do.
Yes. Okay. Yeah. So you
Yes.
can kind of find out about it that way
We've
as
got
well.
Facebook and Instagram.
And Instagram.
I'm
okay.
current.
Yes, yes. Well, and that's
Or
all
trying to
right.
be.
Yeah, well, you're doing a good job. And again, the pictures that I've seen, at least, I mean, folks, if you had seen the pictures that they posted on Facebook last week for this event that they just had recently, just looking at the table setting, everything, it looked so professional. And I was just like, wow, this looks really good. So,
Oh, thank you.
yeah, and so this is right here in our own backyard here in Fayetteville. Appleseeds is doing some great things, and I think the most important aspect is that you have figured out a way to give back to, honestly, the people that matter the most, which is our future. And I think that's really, really important. And so, folks listening to this, if there's any way that you can support Appleseeds, and again, it's not always about financial support. Sometimes it's just, rolling up your sleeves and getting your hands dirty a little bit, no pun intended, and coming out. Pun intended, right?
Come on.
But getting out here and helping out some on the farm and kind of checking it out. But, this is the thing. That's one of the reasons why I do this show in the first place, is because there are so many hidden gems in Northwest Arkansas. And I think it's important for people to recognize that and get out of their own little bubble and see what's out there. There's actually a lot more out here in Northwest Arkansas than people realize. So, and honestly, as I've always told people, I actually created this podcast for me more than anybody else, just for the simple fact that when I came here 5 years ago, I wish I had had something like this to give me a glimpse into what this area was all about. Everything I had was just reading on the websites and looking at web pages, things of that nature. But this podcast, the goal of this podcast is to really give back to people so that anybody coming here to learn more about Northwest Arkansas, coming here or that already live here and want to figure out new things to do, can find out about people like Kyra Ramsey and Appleseeds and everything that these guys are doing at this location. So I want to thank you so much for participating in this podcast. If people want to reach you, what's the best way for them to reach you? Your email?
Email.
Okay.
Yeah.
What's your email?
It is Kyra, Kyra, at appleseedsnwa.org.
Okay, and that's Appleseeds with an S.
S.
Yes, perfect.
Yes.
And we'll put that in the show notes as well, so people know how to reach out to you. And we will put information in there so that people can get to the website if they want to get their class involved. If you're a teacher and you want to get your students involved in this, I'm sure that Kyra and Mary will definitely want to help you out with that. And so I definitely encourage you to take part in that and check out what these guys are doing. But Kyra, thank you so much for having me at the farm. And I'm a little disappointed that there's no food on this table, but it's all good. This is a huge table. This is like a Knights of the Round Table, but it's a long table. It's not a round table. It's Knights of the Long Table because it's
Knights of the Long Table.
Yeah, it's really cool. It's really long, but I could see that a lot of great meals have been shared on this table and a lot of fun has happened. So folks, I just encourage you to come check this place out. You would never in a million years know that it was right here, especially at the corner of Old Wire and Old Missouri here in Fayetteville on the east side of town. So check out Appleseeds when you get a chance. And again, we really appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Randy.
Okay.
We hope you enjoyed this episode of I Am Northwest Arkansas. Check us out each and every week, available anywhere that great podcasts can be found. For show notes or more information on becoming a guest, visit IamNorthwestArkansas.com. We'll see you next week on I Am Northwest Arkansas.